Hi everyone, my name is Peter Dove, author of Master Dressage. Thank you very much for joining me at just after 1 p.m. GMT time. It's not too horrific outside in terms of weather, very different to how it was yesterday when we started doing the equine back rub course, whereupon it completely hailed for a good 5 minutes, and directly above us there are eaves at the top of the roof, which all the hail just poured in through, and on top of the camera and all the computer equipment. It helps to think of the thigh bone being like an arrow. So that's the shaft of the arrow, and then the knee is the arrowhead. And what you want to think about doing is pointing that arrowhead more down towards the horse's front legs. And that should help get that little bit more weight down into the knee. Just remember the foot needs to stay light. You push down, something's going to go up. We know that the opposite of sitting deep is basically pushing into your stirrups. And that's the idea of passive resist. Some of you have already got this idea quite well. The previous homework I set lesson 2 was to come into halt by stopping your seat bones, and quite a few of you naturally added in passive resist. So passive resist is completely opposite to pulling back, and we will demonstrate that in a moment with a dismounted exercise. But let's talk about passive resist. To passive resist, you would and by the way, let me can you tell me when I'm really close to the camera with my hand here? Am I pretty close? Can you see me there? Yeah? Okay, so let me turn that way. That should be all right. So holding the reins, your fingers should be against the palm gently, and your thumb wants to press down on top of the rein so that the kind of thumb makes a little bit of a hat at the top. Okay? Don't crush your hands in like that. Just make the pressure on the top. You may or may not find that really easy to do depending on the reins that you've got. If you've got really thick reins, which actually are wider than your knuckle length here, you might not be able to close your hand as much as I've just said there. So that really does depend. So the first thing you do to passive resist is press down more with your thumb. The second thing you want to do is to widen the shoulder blades and narrow the shoulder blades, bring them closer together. So the shoulder blades will come together, your shoulders will come back a little bit. You increase your bear down, so you become a lot firmer in the middle. Okay, so now I'm going to put myself in on-horse position as best I can. Let me just take up equal in both reins and no twist. God forbid. Right, and I want you to start increasing the pressure backwards, and then you're going to suddenly let go, okay? So I'm going to try and stabilize myself, and then you want to let go. And the hands stay in place like this. And add a bit more pressure. And then let go. And the hands stay in place as Mike lets go. Let's go. So this is one of the things we've been building up to, is that ability to keep yourself in place through that. Okay. Thank you very much. So we are going to now talk about walk to halt, and we'll get Millie to demonstrate that for you once I've gone through the explanation. Going to get Millie to do trot walk now. So this is going to be more difficult. I want you to stay eagle-eyed and see if you can see any mistakes that Millie makes. She may or may not make any mistakes. Okay. And I think everyone's beginning to guess Millie's default problem, which is slightly tipping forwards. So, so Millie, do that again. And this time, well, don't do that again. Do it entirely differently. And this time I want you to think about having more thigh out in front of you, acting like a buffer, and that you keep your seat and tummy pushing up towards your hands through the transition, okay? And sit. Okay, that was better, but I think you kind of sit onto your fork a little bit and then come upright. So sorry? That's what it felt like. Okay, good. Is everyone else seeing this happen as Millie makes the transition? So make sure that as you sit, Millie, you're sitting equally on front corners and back corners. Sit a little bit before the transition, then make the transition. Ah, good girl. Okay, so did everyone see that looked a lot better? that was a lot more of a clear transition. So do go into sitting trot a little bit before. It is only a small amount before. I think what we saw Millie doing there was kind of coming out of rising trot, where you would be very slightly inclined on the down, and then trying to make the transition at the same time, rather than making a clear sit. So thank you. Have a good rest of your day wherever you are in the world. I really appreciate you joining me live, and any questions you've got, put them up in the forum and we'll respond back.